Completely drained after finishing surgery, I hurried towards the entrance of the bar's secluded area. Just as I was about to enter, Lena's voice reached my ears. "I don't want to tie the knot," she declared. He looked so chill when he took that knife from me back then. But now, seeing that scar on his forehead just grosses me out. Without waiting another second, I swung the door open. "Then let's split," I replied. Lena casually leaned against her friend's shoulder, showing no interest as I made my exit. She gave me a disdainful look. "He'll be begging me to get back together within 3 days. Girls, any ideas on how to make Ethan quit chasing me for good?" But just 2 weeks later, she was the one hitting me up from different numbers. "Ethan," she said, "are you done yet?" This is so annoying. To her surprise, it was a woman's voice on the other end. "He's in the shower, do you need something?" Lena snapped back angrily. "Chloe, I thought you were my best IE, and now you're stealing my guy." I slammed the door open, locking eyes with a shocked Lena. Did you really say that?" Everyone in the room turned to stare at me stunned. I recognized everyone there. 4 of Lena's high society girlfriends and 2 wealthy guys known for their wild parties. The guy next to Lena was her old friend Kai. When he saw me, he visibly flinched. I knew him. His mother was seriously ill and being treated at our hospital. His family was already struggling financially, with his dad borrowing money left and right, yet here he was acting carefree with a bunch of rich kids. Lena glanced my way as I walked in. Letting out a cold laugh, she moved closer to Kai, acting totally indifferent. "Ethan, didn't you always say you were too busy to hang out with me? Well, now I found someone to keep me company." She wrapped her arm around Kai's and rested her hand on his shoulder. The sight hurt, but I kept my cool. "We're getting married, what is this supposed to mean?" A week ago, Kai had given her a Hermes bag worth 50 grand. I had strongly objected to her accepting it, promising to buy her a new one after I got paid next month, but she brushed me off, saying, "If you won't buy it, someone else will. Who are you to tell me what to do? Why shouldn't I keep it?" Now Lena looked at me with disdain. "Marriage, sure." She placed Kai's hand on her thigh. "Since you heard everything, let's be clear, you need to get scar removal surgery first. The scar might be shallow, but it's a real eyesore. Don't you think so when you look in the mirror?" Her heart ached sharply. 5 years ago, I had saved Lena from a thug and took a knife meant for her. The blade had sliced across my forehead, nearly blinding me. I had dreamed of growing old with her, but now she was repulsed by the scar I got for her. It wasn't really about the scar, though. Like Lena said, she was tired of me, and everything about me angered her now. The scar she once saw as a badge of honor had become an ugly mark. "What if I say no?" I asked, my voice unexpectedly calm. Lena scoffed. "Ethan, there are so many guys chasing after me. Do you think you're the only one willing to take a knife from me? You expect me to be grateful for a lifetime over that one incident? You think you can use that scar to guilt trip me forever?" Suddenly, she felt like a stranger after I saved her. She had insisted on being with me. She used to wait for me outside my dorm every day. Shyly handed me homemade lunches. She bombarded me with messages, sometimes even ranting if I took too long to reply, just to stay close. Eventually, I gave in and started dating this loud, insistent girl, but had tolerated all of Lena's quirks, but never expected she'd one day grow tired of me. "Is that so?" I said softly. "Then let's split." My words hit like thunder, freezing the smile on Lena's face. She stared at me, almost in disbelief. Whenever we argued, she was always the one to bring up breaking up, but I had never said it. But this was the first time split, she repeated, raising an eyebrow like it was the funniest joke ever. "Have you gotten cocky after all this time together, Ethan? Do you really think you're in a position to break up with me?" Maya, sitting next to Lena, tried to ease the tension. All right, Lena," she said, getting up. "It's my birthday today, and I invited some guys to have fun." She hadn't paid attention to anyone all night. "You're always so understanding." Don T stooped to her level. Understanding? I had lost count of how many times I swallowed my pride to make peace, indulging her, but that was when we were still in love. "From now on, I'm done. Pack your stuff. I'm moving out," I declared, then turned and left. Lena's voice followed me down the hall, loud and mixed with anger she couldn't hide. "Ethan, you've really grown a backbone, huh? If you walk out that door, don't ever come back." I ignored her and walked out, Without a second thought in the corridor, I could vaguely hear Lena's words. "Wanna bet he'll come crawling back tomorrow like a puppy? Don't I know him?" she added, as if that wasn't enough. "What will it take for Ethan to give up on me for good? Maybe I just won't show up on our wedding day." I shook my head, smiling bitterly, and blocked all of Lena's contacts. I left the bar and sat in my car, unable to calm down, as memories of Lena's chatter replayed like an old movie. In those moments she used to say, "You think I'm annoying? Well, I'm going to annoy you for life. You can only be with me, marry me." When I pushed her away and took that knife, she'd say, "Wow, I thought you were the coolest guy in the world, Ethan. How many kids should we have? If we have kids, will you ignore me then?" Maybe she had long since grown tired of me, and tonight I just happened to hear it. I went home, packed all my clothes, and the next day, contacted an agent to find an apartment. I eventually settled on a loft-style place with space upstairs for my medical books. The apartment was close to the hospital where I worked, just a 10-minute drive away. 2 days passed without a word from Lena, of course. I wasn't going to reach out to her either. 5 years of dating ended just like that. As a surgeon, I was busy every day, so I had no time to dwell on a failed relationship. That night, after my last gastric surgery, it was already past 9. I took off my surgical gown and saw Liam's message from 10 minutes ago, inviting me out for a drink. I rubbed my sore neck and headed to the bar he mentioned. It was a quiet bar with soft background music, not noisy at all. "Huh? You broke up with Lena? When did that happen? Weren't you two about to get married? Didn't she adore you?" Liam fired off questions like a machine gun, making my head spin. I took a sip of my drink. "We split up a few days ago. Yeah, she adored me. Now she's tired of me." Liam sighed. "Wow, people change fast when you were in residency. She used to wait at your dorm every day like a little wife. It seemed like she was dead set on marrying you." I smiled bitterly. I couldn't reconcile the image of Lena clinging to me back then with the Lena from the bar that night. "My second kid is almost here, and you're still single," Liam said, raising his glass. "Need me to set you up with someone?" "No thanks. Not planning on jumping into anything new. Maybe when my family starts nagging me to get married," I replied, downing my drink. Liam quickly grabbed my glass. Whoa, whoa, you're a lightweight. Are you trying to drown your sorrows and leave me with the tab?" But the glass was already empty. Liam drove me home, and I was sober enough to walk straight and find the right building, but once in the elevator, my vision started blurring. I fumbled for my keys, my whole body feeling white as if it were on fire. The clink of the key against the lock echoed loudly in the quiet hallway, but the door wouldn't open. "Lena, I'm back. Open the door," I mumbled, banging on it. After a moment, the door opened. The faint scent of orange blossoms wafted out. A woman stood there, her long hair wet, wrapped in a white towel, looking stunned. I blinked hard, trying to see her face. "Lena, why didn't you dry your hair again?" I stumbled inside, and the woman stiffly moved aside. My steps were shaky as I looked around. "Where's the hair dryer?" I asked. "You're drunk," came a woman's voice. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have drunk," I slurred, searching for the hair dryer but couldn't find it. This was supposed to be my home, but everything looked so unfamiliar. "Where did you put the hair dryer?" I turned back to the slender figure and sighed helplessly. "Dry your hair before sleeping, or you'll get a headache." "Why do you always make me worry? Ethan, do you even see who I am?" I paused, blinking hard to see the person in front of me. But her features overlapped, blurry and indistinct. The last thing I remembered was the thud of my body hitting the ground. When I opened my eyes the next morning, a pounding headache from the hangover greeted me. "I'm going to be late for work." The thought exploded in my head, and I jumped up, only to see the room clearly and be stunned. This wasn't the apartment I had rented. White fabric sofas, the row of cute plushies in front of the TV, and several potted succulents on the balcony. "Where am I?" "You're awake." The soft female voice spoke. I looked up and saw a familiar face standing in the living room. Chloe, one of Lena's close friends. Chloe had been there that night at the bar when I broke up with Lena. Sitting quietly in the corner without saying a word, I rubbed my eyes hard, thinking I was still dreaming. Liam had dropped me off at my building last night. So why am I now at Chloe's place? I wondered. You must have walked into the wrong apartment after you got drunk, Chloe said, stepping closer, her expression calm as she looked at me on the sofa. You live in 602, right? I saw you the morning before yesterday. I was speechless. Chloe lived in 601. What a coincidence. Aren't you supposed to be at work today? Chloe asked. I checked the date on my phone and sighed in relief. Shaking my head mechanically, Chloe suddenly laughed. For some reason, a small dimple appearing at the corner of her mouth. Don't worry, you behaved just fine. Didn't do anything you shouldn't have. Some fragmented memories from last night came rushing back. I seem to have said, Lena, open the door, and I'll dry your hair for you. And why do you always make me worry? Thinking about it sent a shiver down my spine. Rinking causes trouble after breaking up with Lena. I hadn't planned on having anything more to do with her or her friends, and now I had inexplicably spent the night at one of her best friends' places. What a mess. Feeling frustrated, I ruffled my hair as I stood up. My temples throbbed painfully. I'm sorry for last night, I said regardless. It wasn't right for me, as a man, to drunkenly barge into a woman's home. It's okay, Chloe shrugged. I was just about to head out. All right, I said. As I was about to leave, I noticed a pendant hanging from the jewelry box on the nearby table. It looked familiar, a delicate teardrop-shaped jade pendant with gold wire wrapped around the top to secure it to the chain. Half a month ago, Lena had watched a short video and said she envied girls who received handmade gifts from boys when they were in school. I went to a friend's jade carving shop to learn how to carve jade. Though I wasn't very skilled, I carefully selected the jade, polished it into a teardrop shape, and wrapped the top with fine gold wire to ensure it was securely attached to the chain. The jade pendant necklace at Chloe's place was identical to the one I had given Lena, even down to the tiny flaw on the edge. This? I said in confusion, looking up to meet Chloe's eyes. There was a flicker of unease in hers, and she quickly looked away, hurrying to the door. I'm late for work. Lock the door, and leave the key under the mat, she said, almost running out. I stood there, dazed. I hadn't interacted much with Lena's group of friends, and I had hardly spoken to Chloe. She had just returned from abroad last year, graduating from a prestigious university. Lena had mentioned that Chloe pursued fashion design despite her family's objections. There was now an associate editor at a fashion magazine. Chloe had also attended Lena's birthday party this year, and like the outgoing and lively girls in the group, Chloe was always quiet and seemed hard to approach. If the necklace was the one I had given Lena, why was it at Chloe's place? And stranger still, why did she seem so nervous? When I gave Lena the pendant, she had turned her nose up at it. Could it be that she didn't like it and gave it away? Forget it, it didn't matter anymore. I left Chloe's apartment and returned to my own just after washing up, where I received a call from an unknown number. Hello, I said. I thought it might be a delivery, but there was no sound from the other end. Hello, I repeated, after a long pause. Lena's voice came through, her usual bossy tone intact. Ethan, it's been days, and you still haven't come to apologize. Is your temper getting worse? I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. If we're broken up, please don't call me again. Lena laughed. Break up? Did I agree to that? Kai is just a good male friend. I only had him keep me company to make you jealous. You didn't really take it seriously. Did you? Ethan, why are you so petty? I said nothing. Ending the call moments later, Lena called again, and I immediately blocked the number. That night during my shift, I hadn't expected Lena to find me in person. She tossed a late-night snack onto my desk, her voice full of arrogance. Ethan, I don't know what's gotten into you lately, but I'm giving you a way out. Take it while you can. If I really get mad, we're done for good. I paused, holding my pen, then slowly looked up at her. Lena met my gaze, her expression nonchalant. That necklace I gave you, why haven't I ever seen you wear it? I asked. Do you even love me? That ugly necklace? How could I wear it out in public? Lena seemed to think my question implied I wanted a reconciliation, and she started acting coy again. She pointed at the scar on my forehead and said, I wasn't joking the other day. That scar on your forehead is ugly, really jarring. Get it removed, and then we can get married. I laughed coldly to myself. Get out, I snapped. Stop bothering me, okay? You don't want to get married, and I have no intention of marrying you. Ethan, you Ray really pushing it. Lena shouted, kicking the leg of my chair in anger. Split? Fine. But if you're a real man, don't come crawling back. She slammed the door and stormed off. My life gradually settled into a routine for the next month. I was busy going back and forth between home and the hospital, preparing a paper for a medical journal. For patient number 32, Chloe, please proceed to consultation room 4. When the patient walked in, I wondered if it was someone with the same name, but it was really Chloe since that night. When I had accidentally spent the night at her place, we had occasionally run into each other in the elevator, but only exchanged nods. What seems to be the problem? I asked, as usual. Chloe stared at me for a few seconds before answering. I was previously diagnosed with gastroesophageal reflux, but recently my loss of appetite has gotten worse. I feel uncomfortable after eating. I nodded thoughtfully. Are your meals regular? What about your bowel movements? Any frequent constipation or diarrhea? Chloe looked embarrassed. Mostly just 1 or 2 meals a day. My bowel movements are okay. I gave her an inquiring look. If you're worried about doing an endoscopy, you can start with an abdominal ultrasound and a fecal occult blood test. If you haven't eaten breakfast, you can get in line for the test now. She nodded. All right. Chloe stood up and took the prescription slip from my hand when she reached the door. She suddenly said, Juan, this is the second time I've seen you in a white coat. Before I could react, she had already closed the door. As the next patient entered, I didn't dwell too much on Chloe's words. That evening when I got home, Chloe's door across the hall opened just as I was about to enter my apartment. Did the test results come back? Everything okay? I asked. Yeah. It's the usual problem, Chloe replied. I nodded and was about to go inside when she suddenly called out, Wait, I have something for you. A few seconds later, Chloe came out holding that necklace. When I left her place that day, I was packing up and told you to throw this away, Chloe said, gripping the pendant tightly. But I didn't. I kept it. If it bothers you, I'll give it back now. Before I could say anything, she quickly added, If it doesn't bother you, I'll keep it. I was speechless. If I couldn't understand what Chloe meant by now, I'd be plain dumb. Chloe, you, but I didn't get a chance to finish. She spoke first. Ethan, I like you. She seemed to have gathered all her courage to say it, and continued in one breath. I made an appointment with you last year, before I knew you were Lena's boyfriend, and I liked you then. But the next day, I saw a photo of you two on her social media, and I realized I was too late. As a doctor, I saw many patients every day, so I didn't really remember treating Chloe. She said, I know it's selfish. But the night you broke up, I was cheering inside. Maybe fate wanted to give me a chance, because I didn't expect my new neighbor to be you. Chloe smiled slightly, her lips curving into a small smile. Dr. Wong, now that you're single, can you give me a chance? I froze, not expecting her to be so direct. Take a week to think about it, okay? Chloe tilted her head, her eyes full of hope. Afraid I'd reject her, she turned and went inside, closing the door. I let out a bitter laugh. Even if I were to start a new relationship, it shouldn't be with one of Lena's friends. The next day, I was on my usual rounds. During lunch break, I saw a familiar figure in the hospital lobby. It was Lena. The man next to her turned around just then. Through the crowd, my eyes met Lena's. She looked startled for a moment, then immediately grabbed Kai's arm, looking at me provocatively. I just glanced at her before stepping into the elevator, but something unexpected still happened that evening. After reviewing some special cases, I left the hospital and felt to people following me. The thought barely crossed my mind when they quickened their pace and caught up with me. A glint of light flashed in the darkness. A knife. I was about to run when something struck the back of my knee. I stumbled, and the two men quickly closed in. One of them yelled, Damn it, you're the heartless doctor. My mother could have lived for years, he cursed, and his knife swung toward me. I dodged just in time. He raised the knife again. I kicked him in the knee, pinning him to the ground, but the other guy raised a brick, ready to smash it onto my head. At that moment, a slender figure rushed over. She grabbed the man's wrist, but he shoved her away, causing her head to hit the railing behind her. Chloe, I shouted. The commotion quickly drew attention, and the two men tried to run but were caught by several security guards rushing over. I picked Chloe up and ran to the emergency department. Blood covered the back of her head. She groaned softly. Her face contorted in pain. It hurts. Chloe winced. My heart pounded as I placed her on a gurney and reported her condition to the on-duty emergency doctor. Chloe was immediately taken for scans and bandaging. The results came back quickly, a moderate concussion. I looked at her pale face, my voice stern. That was so dangerous. Why did you rush over? You should always prioritize your own safety. Understand? Chloe pouted, her voice aggrieved. Did you think about that when you saved Lena back then? I was speechless. Chloe blinked and said, just think of me as a good person and did a good deed. She then half-jokingly added, Dr. Wong, don't feel so burdened. I'm not asking you to marry me, you know. Seeing her wrapped in white bandages yet still joking, I sighed helplessly. I'm not that great. If you date me, you might be disappointed. You might, Chloe interrupted. No, to me, you're the best. You have a kind heart. You're patient and gentle with your patients. You are considerate and tolerant to your ex-girlfriend. And you take relationships seriously with principles. I've seen you feed the stray cats at the hospital, and I've seen how caring you were with Lena. I've always envied her from meeting you before I did. I clenched my fingers tightly. I never imagined that the small things I did would be seen as virtues by someone and remembered so deeply. A necklace Lena despised was something Chloe cherished. I once risked my life to save Lena, and now there was a girl who risked herself to help me when I was in danger. It would be a lie to say I wasn't moved. Chloe, let's be together. I heard myself say one of my principles was to be straightforward in relationships. Chloe had feelings for me, and I had no reason to leave her hanging. Her eyes seemed to sparkle. Really? You're my boyfriend now? Yeah, I told her not to move, but Chloe insisted on leaning closer, playfully kissing my forehead and gently touching the scar there. A tingling sensation spread through my body, like tiny electric currents exploding through my veins. Not ugly at all, she whispered. Then she curled up under the blanket, hiding her blushing face. I thought I'd let her cool off for a couple of days, but it's been over a month now, and she still won't talk to me. She's blocked several of my numbers. Lena complained. Sprawled listlessly on the sofa, something crossed her mind. And she scoffed. Does Ethan really think I'll be the one to back down first? In her dreams, I lit a cigarette and said, if you give in this time, it'll happen again. He'll have the upper hand in the relationship from now on. She paused. By the way, where's Chloe? Just then, the private room door opened. Chloe walked in, wearing a black dress with a teardrop-shaped jade pendant necklace hanging around her neck. Lena's expression froze. Her eyes locked onto the necklace. Chloe, that necklace around your neck, isn't that the one I told you to throw away? Chloe nodded calmly. Yeah, I liked it. Thought it'd be a waste to toss it. Lena pursed her lips, momentarily speechless. Maya scrutinized the necklace, realization dawning on her. Isn't that the ugly pendant Ethan gave you? Lena stood up, walked straight over to Chloe, and said flatly. Chloe. She paused before continuing. Give me back the necklace. Though her tone was even, there was something forceful about it. Chloe met her gaze and said, didn't you say you didn't like it? Lena replied, I like it now, is that not allowed? She held out her hand. Give it back. Chloe lowered her eyes. Ben suddenly smiled. Lena, you've always been like this, bossy from childhood to now. Men and I have gotten used to it. The limited edition and dresses everyone liked always had to go to you on trips. If you got tired, we all had to stay at the hotel because of you. It's as if the whole world has to revolve around you, and you accept it all as a matter of course. She took a deep breath. You didn't want this necklace. So I kept it, and now you don't like that? Lena snapped. It's different. This was a gift from Ethan. She reached out to grab the necklace. Chloe caught her wrist, reminding her, you two have broken up. Lena's face darkened. A ringtone broke the tension. Chloe took out her phone, the screen displaying the word boyfriend. Her expression softened. Hello? Yeah, but just wait at the intersection. I'll be right out. Inaya tilted her head curiously. Chloe, you have a boyfriend. Why didn't you tell us? When did you start dating? Recently, Chloe said, looking Lena up and down. I'll introduce him to you all some other time. I can't stay and drink with you today. Gotta go. She turned and left. The room fell silent. Maya, Lena said, toning slightly. I feel like the guy on Chloe's phone just now sounded kind of familiar. Maya guessed. Could it be a mutual friend of ours? By the way, what's going on with you and Kai? Does Ethan think you're cheating on him? Is that why? Lena loudly denied it. There's nothing between us. I was just upset that Ethan was always so busy, so I wanted to use Kai to make him jealous, to get him to spend more time with me. You were right. Ethan must have misunderstood and thought there was something between me and Kai, and that's why he's still mad. She seemed to be talking to herself, as if she had finally found the reason for their problems. Nodding, she said, "Yeah, he still cares about me." Lena smiled to herself, no expression shifting. At midnight, I had just come out of the shower when I heard Chloe talking to someone on the phone in the bedroom. "Ethan, how long are you going to ignore me? Kai is just a friend. I was just so angry and wanted to make you jealous, to get you to spend more time with me. You've been saying you're busy lately, never having time for me, always having excuses for not replying right away. Am I not supposed to be upset?" It was Lena's voice. Chloe held my phone, saying nothing. Her eyes met mine. Lena continued, "Hello, Ethan, are you listening? This is the last time I'm giving you a way out. Don't push your luck tonight. Is your last chance if you still want to marry me. Let's stop this cold war." Chloe's lips parted, and she said, "Lena, this is Chloe." Silence fell on the other end. I stood still, making no move. But Chloe spoke softly. "Ethan is in the shower. If you need something, call back later." A few seconds of silence. Then Lena's angry voice came through. "Chloe, I thought you were my best friend, and you're stealing my boyfriend." Chloe replied calmly, "I'm not stealing him. Ethan and I got together after you two broke up." With that, she ended the call. I walked over to the bed, placing her cool hand under the blanket. Chloe was trembling. I pulled her into my arms, gently stroking her back. In a muffled voice, she asked, "Are you mad at me?" Understanding her unease, I said, "Why would I be mad at you? If I didn't want you to say those things, I would have stopped you just now when I broke up with Lena that night. I never intended to get back together with her, so with you, it's clean and simple, no burden. Okay?" Chloe hugged me tightly. The next day I didn't have any appointments, and Chloe was heading out of town for a few days. I loaded her suitcase into the car, and she patted the dust off my sleeve. Suddenly, hysterical voice rang out, "You shameless mistress." Lena's eyes were brimming with tears as she cursed, pretending to be my best friend, while secretly stealing my boyfriend. She stormed over, raising her hand to slap Chloe. I immediately held her back. Chloe squinted slightly. "Lena, you gave him up. How does that make me a third party?" she said. "Weren't you the one who said you were afraid Ethan would keep clinging to you? Now he's out of your life, just like you wanted. What more do you want? If anything, it's you who has been clinging on since the breakup, isn't it?" Lena's face was streaked with tears as she stared at Chloe, her spirit seemingly drained by those few words. I sighed. "Lena, it's over between us," I said. "I don't regret saving you. I would have done the same for anyone, but that night, when you leaned against Kai and called my scar ugly, I knew we were done. My heart felt like it had died in that moment. Lena, I don't love you anymore, and I ask that you not interfere in my life again." Lena clung tightly to my wrist, shaking her head. "No, it's not like that. I never wanted to be apart from you. I thought you were just mad at me." I shook off her handle. Knock collapsed to the ground, her eyes full of tears. "Ethan, are you really done with me?" "Yes, there's no future for us." I couldn't be bothered to say more. Getting into the driver's seat in the rearview mirror, Lena's figure grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared. During Chloe's business trip, we video chatted every day. It turned out we had a lot in common. Even our favorite movie director was the same. The night before, we talked about Hitchcock until 2:00 in the morning. "I'll have a little gift for you in your bag," I said, feeling a little embarrassed as I touched my nose while watching Chloe remove her makeup over the video call. "All right," Chloe replied, her eyes full of anticipation. 2 years later, Chloe and I officially registered our marriage soon after. We held our wedding on the big day. Besides family and friends, some close colleagues attended. I hadn't expected Lena to come after 2 years. She was even thinner, lacking vitality. with a faint smell of bitter medicine lingering around her. Congratulations, she said, smiling at me before downing her glass of wine. I nodded, not saying much. Right after the ceremony ended, hotel staff reported that they had called the police. A body had been found in the second-floor women's restroom. I looked at the familiar clothing and face, and my pupils constricted. It was Lena. She had taken her own life. Later, I received a letter from Lena. It contained only a few sentences. I'm sorry. I know as a doctor, you despise those who treat life lightly, but if I can't be your bride, how else could I make sure you'd remember me for the rest of your life? Ethan, in the next life, let me be the one to spend my life with you, okay?